Okay, so here's part 2 when we're talking about self-worth today, and self-worth as it pertains to abusive dynamics. Another thing that keeps coming up with my clients in terms of getting out of these abusive dynamics, or even once they're out of the abusive dynamic, is the situation of self-worth, and that's what I'm really trying to touch on today. It shows up in a lot of ways. One of the biggest ways that it starts to show up, the lack of self-worth or the lack of understanding of your innate self-worth, which in part 1 I discussed is innate. Nobody can give or take away self-worth from you. It just is. So check that out if you haven't watched that yet. But one of the things that's always coming up when it comes to self-worth as it pertains to getting out of an abusive dynamic or staying out of an abusive dynamic or trying to get out of an abusive dynamic is this idea that self-worth can be measured by external circumstances. So the flawed thinking goes something like this. If I was worthy, then XYZ would happen. If I was worthy of love, then I would be given love. If I was a good person, then I would be treated like a good person. If I was desirable, then I would be desired. Okay? Fill in the blanks. Like, figure out what your word is, the thing that you want, and then make it an if-then statement. And what I want you to do is to see that these are really flawed perceptions. Because 10 billion things go into the feedback that we get external to ourselves. 10 billion things. Like let's go with desired, okay? If I was desirable, then I would be desired. So let's turn that into a romantic interaction between yourself and your partner. Let's say you wear some cute outfit and your partner comes home and you're thinking that they're going to make a comment about how you look and they don't. Or you're going to think that they're going to initiate, sorry, my cat is here, initiate sex with you and they don't, or something along those lines. Hero. He's everywhere. We don't know what's going on with our partner in that situation. They might have had a terrible day. They might be feeling bad about themselves. They might not have a clue that your outfit is supposed to signal anything. They might not know how to compliment you because they just don't have a good ability with giving out compliments, etc., etc., etc. There are 10,000 different reasons why A plus B might not equal C in that scenario. And yet, how often do we do this thing where we're like, oh, if I do this, then that will happen. And then we go even farther. We go, if I do this, then that will happen. And when that happens, I will have worth and value. This is so messed up. It's not healthy. It's not safe for you emotionally. It's not a good idea. Number one, we're driving our worth or our value from an external source, which is already video 1, disproven. You can't do it. You innately have worth. You choose whether you wish to see and validate for yourself that you innately have worth. That's up to you. But your worth is innately there. Because you exist, you have worth and value. You can go ahead and decide all day long that you don't want to acknowledge your worth and value, and that's a whole other conversation, which we will have in another video. But your value and your worth is there. So you can't go A plus B equals C. You can't go, if I do this, then I have that, and then I will have value. It's already there, okay? So that's the first problem. But the second problem is that you're not communicating any of this to yourself or to somebody else. You're not saying to yourself, oh, it looks like I'm seeking to be validated externally. How could this potentially get misunderstood by myself, to myself, for myself? You're always interacting with yourself in these situations. So that's the first part. Hang on, my cat needs me. The second flaw about this process is that if anything's going on within our partner or the person or the situation through which we are deriving our value, we make it about ourselves. We take it on, we make it about ourselves. We use it as proof that we are damaged, flawed, broken, etc. This is where we're seeking to define what we already believe to be true. The premise that we believe is, I am not good enough. And then we seek to prove that to be so. And what I want you and what I want my clients, what I want everyone to do is to operate under a different premise. And I want that premise to be, I am deserving of love. I am deserving of kindness. I am deserving. I have value. And I want you to seek to prove that. Because you're creating the reality that you see. And if you don't believe that you're deserving, then you're going to find ways to prove that you're not. You're going to buy into the abuse that you're being given. And so when your inner dialogue can shift, and when you can stop saying, my worth is external to me, and it can be bestowed upon me by somebody else, then you start to realize my worth is internal to me. And I can stand in the knowing that I'm going to be okay because I know that I'm a good person. I know that I have value. Let's talk about the good person portion of this, okay? Have we all in our lives done things that we are not happy about? Yes, we have. Does that make us fundamentally bad? Well, here's a trick. If you feel bad about the things that you've done that you're not happy about, then you're not fundamentally bad because you care about those things, because you have a conscience, because you give a shit. If you've done things that you wish you didn't do, that means you're not a bad person because you wish you didn't do them. If you've intentionally harmed someone else and you're like thrilled about it, or if you've intentionally destroyed another person and you're like okay with it, or if you've intentionally been super cruel and it doesn't even like come back up, you might want to work on yourself. But if you're the kind of person who has made mistakes, has done the best they could in a situation, but it's still been flawed as fuck, and you replay those things, and you wish it went different, and you wish you could fix it, and you this, you're not a bad person. You are a person with a heart who has like messed up a few times, and who hasn't? The people who have a heart, who have been kept down, and who don't know their own worth, are often the people who are lashing out the most in these wild ways throughout their life because they don't have a handle on how to get what they need. And so they try and they try and they try to toe the line and do what they're supposed to do, or what the warped message they're receiving is that they're supposed to do. And it doesn't work because it's designed not to. And then something happens and they explode in some way, and their abuser gets to say, see, you're just as terrible as I've always said. And the person who's being abused feels bad about the thing that happened, and they go, yeah, I guess that's true. When really, the actual truth of that scenario is the person being abused was just trying to get some love, was trying to get some acceptance, was trying to be validated finally in any capacity that they could, and that is not a bad thing. People who are abusive are broken. They can fix themselves for the most part if they wanted to. Most of them don't want to because they get to just do whatever they want. Okay? They are the ones who are damaged. The people being abused are the ones who are trying their best and never ever making any progress because the system of abuse is designed against them. They are pushing a boulder up a hill and it's never going to get there. It's an unwinnable contest. And when their abuser says, see, they go, I know. And they think that somehow the whole thing is their fault. And that's because they are good inside. Because they are striving to be better and to just do what they need to do. Because they both want to give and receive love. Because even in this crazy dynamic, all the person wants is to give and receive love. And if you can't look at that and see that that is a good person operating within a damaged structure, then you really need to reevaluate. Because someone who only wants to give and receive love will do whatever it takes. And they keep being tasked with impossible task after impossible task after impossible task. And when they never are able to achieve those tasks, they come back hard on themselves. An abuse victim does not look to their perpetrator. The perpetrator has the victim all convinced that the perpetrator is the victim, and the victim is the abuser or the broken one or the damaged one or the one causing all the harm here. If someone's working really hard to tell you all the reasons why you are unlovable, you are the one causing all the problems, you are damaged, you are broken, everything's your fault. If someone's working real hard to paint that picture, the odds are that the picture they're painting is designed to distract you from the truth. Okay? If you are in an unwinnable situation, it is designed for you not to win. Back to the topic of external validation. It can't happen. It just can't. And oftentimes we put ourselves in these like weird contests external to ourselves. So, for example, one of my clients is in a situation where she's out of an abusive marriage and wants to start dating. And without giving too many details, her love interest has another love interest. And so she's like way into comparison. Way. Whenever she knows that her love interest is with the other love interest, she's like way in her mind. And now this makes sense. Jealousy is a real thing. But here's the secret that I want to tell you. If someone is meant for you, they are going to be with you. You don't have to buy a new outfit. You don't have to like go to all these crazy lengths to try to convince that person that they should be with you. They will know in their heart if they belong with you or not. It's not something that you should morph yourself into somebody else in order to do. Because here's why. The more we pretend to be somebody else, the less we attract the people who are meant to be with us. Please listen to that. The more you pretend to be someone else, the less you attract the people who are meant to be with you. The people who are meant to be with you want to find you. They don't want to find some faked up version of you that's like, is doing what she thinks perfect is. They want actual you. Actual you is awesome. Actual you has a person out there right now searching for you because they want to love you as you actually are. But the more you masquerade as somebody else, the less your person can find you because they're looking for you. They match you, real you, not fake you. But it's hard to stand in your own truth when you don't feel safe being yourself. And it's hard to feel safe being yourself when you're coming from an abusive dynamic. Okay? So step zero is admitting you're in an abusive dynamic. Step 1 is saying, how can I be there for myself now? How can I give myself all the things I think someone else has to give to me first? Step 2 is taking action for yourself. And that will mean leaving your abusive dynamic behind. Get support for that if you need to. Step 3 will be honoring the person that you are and loving that person and showing up as that person and not being fake and not being someone you're not, so that you can authentically live in the world as you, because you deserve love and you deserve kindness and you deserve basic respect and you deserve those things from yourself first, to yourself, because nobody can ever give them to you if you don't believe that you can have them. You are not in a competition with literally anybody else. You're in a competition with yourself, and that's it. Your person is going to show up for you no matter what. Your person's going to love you as you. The only thing for you to do is to do enough of the self-work so that when that person encounters you, that you can show up as you, and you can be you, and you can accept the love they have to give. And honestly, we don't even need another person to complete us. Once you're you and you're okay with yourself and you love yourself, it doesn't matter if you have someone else or not. Other people just enhance your life. They don't make it. They don't break it. That's where you want to be. And you can totally get there. I promise.